Hey, what's up, Family First Life? Thanks for having me on and joining me today on our first virtual sales conference. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about the secret to being successful with Family First Life and tell you a little bit about my journey with the company. And in the last 6 years, it's been an absolutely insane ride. And we went from having about 5 writing agents on our team to this year we will have over 2,000 agents get paid in over 35 different states. And the amount of money that we're seeing people make is just it's incredible. And I couldn't be happier being a part of something where not just a few people go to the top. There's a lot of room at the top here, the way the company's designed. But let's go back to when I first started, and somebody said, what's the secret to being successful at Family First Life? And there's a few things, but the thing is it's not a secret, and it's actually common sense. And I believe common sense, and an agent said to me, they go, common sense isn't so common. And it's true. It must be more complicated than this for you to do this well. And the answer is it's not. It's very, very simple. Now, the first thing I like to tell people, though, is what are your goals with Family First Life? And do you know what it takes to get those? Have you figured that out? For me, my goal was never cars, because cars to have, now I like having nice stuff, but my goal was not to have nice things. My goal was not to go, hey, let me make money and go out and buy a new Porsche. My goal was, let me create a lifestyle where I have money coming in and I don't have to worry about money ever again. That was my goal. And any nice thing I buy, that should be paid for from renewals or overrides, not my active income, which was me going out and selling and having to trade time for these nice things. And I've always thought about it like this. If you just want a bunch of nice stuff and you have to go work for it, you're creating your own prison where you always... Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, you said you want to switch it up, right?
Oh,
you said prison. I thought that was perfect timing.
Go back to it.
That was perfect timing.
All right, leave it. We'll keep. All
Okay.
right, so this is Carol Baskins in a cage. We're coming to you virtually, so we can be anywhere at any time. Hey, Drew, what other ones do you have here?
Virtually.
All right, switch me back to my office.
Okay.
This is my virtual office. I picked this one because of all the books and all this other stuff. But creating your own prison, and my goal was to create a lifestyle that was, I had the peace of mind of knowing my family and myself would never have to worry about paying bills and have income streams set up. So the thing for me was, this was the best opportunity on the planet. I looked at real estate, I looked at everything to create that. And on top of that, you can generate a lot of cash flow to do it even faster by going out and selling. So whatever your goal is, now if it's just to go sell a lot, great, go crush it. If it's to sell a lot and build an agency, I'm going to share that with you as well. But I always tell people this is the best sales job, and it's also the best business opportunity. And I'll kind of explain why to you guys. But it's a good way to become financially free and get out of what I call the rat race. So when I first started selling insurance, let's just actually go back 6 years ago. And most people know my background was bagging groceries, so I didn't have a lot of experience with sales. I didn't consider myself a good salesperson, but I did consider myself a hard worker. So when I started, I didn't have a lot of money because I was making $250 a week at the grocery store, and I was trying to transition into full-time life insurance sales. And what I did is I looked for the things I spent money on, and I thought, do I have to have these things? And can I use this money for leads? And that way I can get to a position where I won't have to worry about this anymore because I can build my own business. So I cut out this is really simple stuff, but I literally was packing a lunch. I had a $2,000 Saturn, and all I would spend money on was like living expenses and leads. And once I would get paid from a policy, then I would take that money and I would get more leads. And I didn't focus on anything else. I actually had a $60 suit from Target. I didn't know Target sold suits, but I got it at Target. It was on like a clearance rack, and it actually fit. I thought it fit pretty good. One of my friends said it didn't, but regardless of that, the reason I'm sharing this with you is because some people say I can't afford leads to build my business. And I always say, is it that you can't afford it, or is it that you don't want to afford it? Is there anything that you don't need where you can build this insane lifestyle for yourself and you can sacrifice a few things? And if that is the case, I highly recommend you go, okay, I'm going to take the money I was spending here and I'm going to spend it on leads so I can get more cash flow faster to build my agency. So the first thing is what is your what are you spending money on, and what can you use to see more people to sell more insurance? And we've got a lot of people, like I talked to a couple agents today, and they're like, hey, we are making more money than we've ever made in our entire lives, and we have our leads set at $1,000 per week. But some of them are over $50,000 in submitted deposits already. My initial struggle was I didn't want to have to spend the money or invest the money, but I wanted all the perks of being self-employed until I realized this wasn't a job, it was a business, and all businesses cost. There is something to run a business. But the nice thing is you don't need $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to set this up. You need a few $100s in leads and then reinvest your commissions after you work really hard. The second secret to success that I think was real important for me was tracking my activity. So if I tracked, and this was my whole thing, I would make a minimum of 250 dials per week and run 24 to 30 appointments a week. Now, the 250 dials and the 24 appointment minimum, those two things were married. So I would never, ever make less than 250 calls in a week, and I would never make less than 24 appointments in a week. So let's say I made 100 calls and I booked 24 appointments, I would still make 150 more calls. If I booked 250 dials and I only booked 14 appointments, I would still continue dialing even if I had to do 400 dials until I hit that goal. Initially, I tricked myself into thinking I was working until I started tracking my activity. And until I started managing and stopped lying to myself, but managing what I was doing. And there was a point in time when I first started tracking my activity, and my initial thing would be, these leads aren't working out. At the end of the week, I had made 58 dials. That means I made, an hour or 2 hours worth of work. If I worked at a job and I worked an hour or 2 hours of work with no college education, I would probably make $20. So I had to go, I did $20 worth of work. I didn't do $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 worth of work. That's all I did. And so I learned to track these things: how many leads I'm getting, how many appointments I'm booking, how many how many leads I'm getting, how many dials I'm making, how many appointments I'm booking, how many I'm sitting on, and how many I'm selling. And that way, any given week, I could tell you where I was strong and where I need work. For example, if a whole bunch of people aren't home, then I know my tie down on the phone needs some work. Then I could go, hey, let me listen to some trainings, and there's so much training on this because this is what I'm struggling with. And while I was driving, running all these different appointments, I would always listen to the areas that I needed help in the most based off of what my numbers were telling me. And so this is super simple, but the hard work part is the magic. It's just literally you go in, you try to help people, and you work really hard. And thinking back, I got home at 11 or 12 at night while I was running appointments and building my agency at the same time 4 days a week because I would travel to get enough lead flow to hit the numbers that I needed. So super hard work. The difference between someone who's killing it and someone who is not, it's not because they're special. It wasn't because I was special. It was just because I put in the work. Now, a few things happened that were really interesting. One was I realized I was happiest when I was putting in the hard work. So if I was lazy one week and I go, you know what, I'm going to take it slow this week, and just a cop out because I didn't want to work, I felt worse that week than if I went out, I worked really hard, I ran my appointments, got my butt kicked, didn't hit my numbers. When I went to sleep that night, I actually felt better. And what I learned is, for me, working hard is what actually makes me feel good. It's not working a little bit and getting some crazy result. Now, as you start to get your commissions, I reinvested in a team to help me build an agency faster. And the more personal production I could do, 10,000 a week, the bigger team I could build to help me get to that goal faster. And now we're seeing people do it even faster. So it took me with FFL, 4 years to get to $1 million a month as a team. And Grady just hit the $1 million a month mark, and he's only been with FFL for 2 years. And so the rate that you can do this with the information and the tools that are given, I think someone's going to beat it in 1 year. Someone that goes out and they put the work in. So working like crazy, investing, being smart, knowing what your goals are. And one thing that I've always done is I said, okay, let's work my goals using math. And that way I know what to expect every single week. So if I'm going to if I want to hit a promotion, or if I want to hit a certain level and I have 10 people on my team, and let's say we need to hit $100,000 in production, what I would do is I'd go, I'm going to do 40. And then if I could get 6 people to do 10 or 3 people to do 20, then I'll hit my goal by doing the math backwards. And then going to these agents and going, hey, Jack and Trey, what are your goals? Well, they have their own individual goals and they want to hit their promotions too. And so we go, okay, can you make sure, drop dead, you hit this, I hit this, we all move up the ladder together. And be able to track, hey, and let's all work really, really hard. So that's huge. Some people, which actually blows my mind, they don't even know what it takes to get promoted to the next level. They're not paying attention. And for me, I was always like, I want to get to 140% as fast as possible because that's money that should be mine. That it's based off of my activity. And once I hit that level, I could make whatever it is, 40% more on everything, my personal sales and my team. If I get to that level, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. And some people don't know what it takes to get to, they're not tracking what it takes to get to the next level. So one other thing, know what that next level is for you and hit it. And then as you're thinking about building an agency, I always compared stuff to real estate. So we for a real estate investment to get passive income, I found out that if you have $100,000, then you could maybe on a really good deal make $10,000 a year. If you have $1 million invested, you can maybe on a really good deal make $100,000 invested. That's if you have $1 million cash, no loans, nothing. Now, what I've found in this with Family First Life is we offer all the best stuff. So high comp, training, renewals, all this cool stuff. But what I've found is we are able to make $10,000 a year if we help one person write 10 policies a month. That costs nothing except maybe sharing some stuff, sharing Family First Life opportunity with people and letting them know what we do. So when I found that out, I was like, okay, I'm working like crazy and I can share with people what I'm doing. And it's like getting $100,000 rental property every time I do that. So I got obsessed with sharing with people what we do at Family First Life. And I love the culture, which the culture to me of FFL is telling people the truth. And so the way I recruit people is I go, okay, you can make a lot of money here. The way I used to recruit people pre-FFL, before I worked with Sean Mike, is I would go, hey, you're really sharp. You would do great if you worked in insurance. Now the way I work with people is I go, hey, if you work really hard, if you run 40 appointments a week, you'll end up making around $25,000 net income a month if you run 40 appointments per week. It's really hard work. I'm not sure if you can do it, but if you do, it's an amazing opportunity. And I'm almost trying to weed people out before I even start working with them, because I'm looking for the guy that goes, dude, I'll do that. It goes, hey, I'll travel, I'll do whatever. And so tell people straight up, you got to get leads, you got to work, this is the result you can get, and get them plugged in and find those people to lock arms with. And then lastly, perspective. There was a day when I was complaining about the littlest things, and I actually just read, everybody's got problems. And if you could take your problems to a store that everybody was able to take their problems to, and you can participate in the average problem of everyone else if you turn your problems in, most people would take their own problems and leave because there's way worse problems going on. Drew, does that make sense to you?
100%.
So it's like there's always somebody in a worse situation than you are. So, and for me, it's kind of like count your blessings. And there was a point in time where I complained about everything. And the thing I loved the most about working with Sean Mike was this. One time I was complaining because I kept getting no-showed and I was having a really bad week in the field. And when I talked to Sean, I said I was really down, and I go, this week's just been a big problem. Like, nothing's going right. And Drew, guess what he said?
Tell me.
He goes, are you dying of cancer? And I go, no. And he goes, you're sitting in your car, air conditioned, in the United States of America, and you're telling me you have a problem when you're perfectly healthy because a couple people didn't show up, when you have a bunch of more leads to call and a bunch of more people to help. And then I didn't say nothing, and then he hit me with this. He goes, have some freaking respect for yourself. And ever since that day, dude, I never thought about a problem the same, and it helped me. If I got no-showed, I'd go, dude, I mean, it could be worse. Like I just saw a car accident, and I know whoever was in that did not survive. So how about I take my leads, I control what I can control, and I keep working, and I put a smile on, because it's not a real problem. And that that for me helped me build this business where, dude, things that used to be problems, they're not at all. There's a quick, easy solution for them. And help me go, hey, how about I appreciate this AC and this lunch and all this stuff and the ability that I could get on the phone and call more people opposed to poor me, you know, I want someone to feel bad for me. And so with those things, I believe anybody could be successful. And I say this all the time. This is the place where the underdog can win. My friend goes, dude, you've basically made like NFL money with Family First Life. And I go, yeah. And I can't get put out of business if I get hurt. And there's not a high chance I have like a 3-year or 4-year career. So think about how amazing this is. And I have no special skills. So this is the place where the average person that works hard can get insane results and make millions of dollars and help a lot of people. That's this place. And that's why I love working here. So I hope you, at whatever place you're in with your career with FFL, I hope you join us with those things so we can make an even bigger impact, because I do believe we're just getting started. So thanks for having me on, guys.